to Stay Lit with Lauren Lyfestyle, a space where authenticity is celebrated, healing is prioritized, and living in our truth takes center stage. I'm Lauren Lyfestyle, your host, mentor, and guide, here to help you navigate life's challenges, uncover your deepest truths, and embrace the journey to becoming your most authentic self. In today's episode, we're diving into an inspiring and transforming conversation about faith, testimony, and entrepreneurship with our special guest, Rodman Allen, an author, educator, and successful Airbnb host. Rodman's journey is a testament to the power of faith in overcoming obstacles and building a purpose-driven life. We'll explore his personal testimony, the role of faith in this session, and the lesson he has learned as an entrepreneur. This isn't just a show, it's a movement to inspire, empower, and uplift. Let's stay lit together. Hi, Rodman. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on our guest for today. So we're going to start the show off with the icebreaker. So I'm going to pick a card, you going to pick a card, and because you're our guest, you're going to go first.
Bet.
And I'm just pick one out, and you can just pick whichever one you feel like with.
It says, what's something that always makes you feel a little brighter? Something that always... Are you answering or am I answering?
You're answering.
Something that makes me feel brighter. Brighter as far as smart or brighter like happy?
Your own definition.
I would say reading the Bible helps me feel brighter. Praying, working out. Yeah, I would say those make me feel brighter and lighter.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. My card says, if money were no concern, what would you want to do with your life? I would want to travel and build a lot of community-based services or organizations that provided space for the community to support them and meet their needs, not only U.S.-based, but also internationally. So whether that's providing basic needs, but also education. I'm really big on education. So providing a space for people to learn how they can grow as a person, and most importantly, their mindset, so they can be put in a position to be able to survive and meet their own basic needs, even when I'm not able to get to them.
Wow, that's dope.
All right, thank you so much for taking the time to participate in our icebreaker.
For sure.
So let's get into it. Can you tell us about who Rodman is and what are you about?
That's such an interesting question. I feel like I'm a mixture of a lot of different things. Who I am, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a teacher. I'm God's child, But as far as what I do, it's a little different, But who I am, I feel like I'm a lot of different,
I like how you distinguish between who I am and what I do, because what we do doesn't necessarily define who we are as a person. They may be aligned.
Right.
And so, as we know, we did talk about how you are an author, and I think that is so beautiful. Do you want to share a little bit about us of what made you want to be an author, and what do you write about? What are your books?
So God put it on my heart 2 years ago to write a book called God Is. And I was seeing how there's not a lot of faith-based books. There's not a lot of Christian-based books. So I wanted to be able to give kids a concept of God that, that they could have, that they can keep, you know what I'm saying? So they could grow with. So really just trying to fill a void that I saw.
Mm-hmm. So. And what do you think the impact of learning God as a child will have, not only in their now, but also setting the foundation for their future?
Good question. I think introducing a kid to God early, it can be monumental. Um, and we see it historically. Like, I mean, look at David, right? One of the, some people would say, favorites in the Old Testament, but he built a relationship with God at an early age, and I mean, he has the most books in the Bible with Psalms. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as success goes, God is really the cheat code. So, being able to know Him and have access to Him, you always have access to Him, but just having that understanding at an early age, it's monumental. It can even be measured.
If you reflect on your own childhood and you read this book at an early age, what do you think you would have done differently? How do you think your life would be different where you are now?
I would have looked for God in more places. Like, for instance, there's a couple pages where, I have God on a baseball field here, right? So me just seeing that as a kid, I would be more keen to, keeping my eyes open, or, like trying to feel that space and that time with getting closer to God. So, it would definitely would have helped me. More ways than one. You know what I'm saying? Just forming that relationship.
What is some advice, and you can also read a page out of your book to answer this question, what is some advice that you would give parents or people that have children in their life on how can they communicate to children who God is in a way that it makes sense to them? Because God can be a complex idea or a concept or a complex understanding of who He is, the role that He plays in their lives. And the importance of seeking Him. Kids have so much going on nowadays, and it kind of does take intentionality and understanding who He is and the role that He plays. So, what is some advice that you would give to parents and other adults that have children in life that are wanting their children to know about God, but children are like, "Oh, this is boring. Or why does this matter?" I have that negative spin about it.
Good question. I would say introducing them to who Jesus is. The Bible says that Jesus is God's word. So, I mean, a word is a hidden idea. So we're looking at somebody that embodied God's idea for how we should be living. You know what I'm saying? And just the struggles and the trials that he went through. I mean, once you can actually put yourself in the Bible, it's not a boring book. I think there's a lot of boring teachers maybe, but being able to communicate and teach and connect different things in the Bible, I feel like if I had that at an early age, I mean, I probably just wasn't really paying attention. But if I had somebody that could give me the Bible in a digestible way, I would definitely have benefited.
Absolutely. So for our parents out there, or those that are caregivers or have children in their lives, I think a good way to introduce our children to God is what's importantly books, right? Because kids like books, they like illustrations. So would you like to take some time to read out a page out of your book so they can see how digestible it really is?
Yeah, so I have two books. This is my first ever book that I wrote, and this is Faith Is. I really haven't released this yet. I'm about to, start doing ads and stuff for it now, but I'll read God Is, and then I'll read one page of Faith Is. So it says, God is light. He illuminates everywhere and makes it bright. That gives me great delight. God is peace. No matter how troubled my heart is, He always turns it into a masterpiece. And then I have the illustrations here. So basically just telling kids that, God is peace. Like a kid's brain is so impressionable, they only know what you teach them. So people try to put who they think God is, but they sometimes miss who God says that He is. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I have this one called Faith Is.
I really love how you broke it down to very simple to where God is, faith is. So it's just focused on one concept rather than, because, there's so much that we can talk about in those genres by itself. So I really love that it's very simple and straight to the point where it can be easily digestible for our kids.
Exactly. For this book, I'm actually going to just read the first page. Just so, I want you guys to be able to know my why of why I wrote this book. So it says, understanding what faith is, as explained by Jesus and God, is really important. Faith is like solid ground that our hopes stand on, even if we can't see them clearly. Jesus often talked about faith, showing how it changed our lives and helped us face tough times. For example, there's a story in the Bible about a Roman soldier who came to Jesus, pleading for his servant to be healed. Jesus marveled at the soldier's faith and said, "Go, let it be done, just as you believed it would." And the servant was healed at that moment. That's Matthew 8:13. This story illustrates the power of trusting in Jesus' ability to bring about healing, even when the situation seems hopeless. It shows that faith isn't just about believing in something, it's about trusting so deeply that it can bring about real change in our lives. It's one thing to have faith, that you can do it, but it's a whole nother thing when you put your faith in Jesus and understand that he'll do it for you. So that's just kind of a reason why I wrote this book, because I feel like if it's impossible to please God without faith, well, what is faith? You know what I'm saying? How do we use this thing called faith? How do we build that muscle? So I wanted to give kids that just a digestible way. So, yeah.
As you were creating these books, because I know the devil was mad. So as you were creating these books, did you experience any warfare, and how did you navigate to be able to complete the projects? If you experienced any.
I would say, yeah, whenever you do God's work, I feel like you always are going to experience some friction. I would say just because writing is kind of still new for me. So just being able to break it down, not really put too much pressure on myself to get it done. You know what I'm saying? Because now I'm mad or I'm sad because I didn't complete it by this time, or so just showing myself grace, but just really being intentional with those type of pitfalls, like not beating myself up on deadlines and stuff like that. So I really didn't experience too much just normal distractions that he does,
So what are you working on towards next? What is your next project or book that you are?
What's next? Next I'm actually writing a kids series about my dog.
Okay.
My brother has a dog. His name is Lincoln. My dog's name is Milo. So they have a funny little dynamic, and I kind of want to put it in a book for kids.
And kids love animals, so I think that's such a beautiful thing to be able to, again, make it relatable to them, seek their interest. Because, as your pictures are very beautiful. I really love the illustrations. They did a great job in that. And it's also scenarios that are relatable to them, that they see on a day-to-day basis, so they can see it like, hey, I remember when I read that book, and whenever it's sunny outside, like, oh, that's Scott. So they could be able to grasp it easier. So I think you did a great job with just creating a space where kids will have that desire, because as you get older, as an adult, it's challenging for us to be able to change our appetite and to have a stronger desire with God. So if we set that foundation and create that blueprint when they're young, it won't be as difficult when they get older. So I think it's very essential that we have people like you that are intentional, and you find it very important, and you have a strong passion about, this is a space where there's a hole and I want to fill it. So I'm glad that God has given you that vision and that you have stand strong in it. You continue to do it in different ways. So continue to do that, and we love to hear more about it.
For sure.
All right, y'all, that's it for today. We are going to go on commercial break, and please come back as we learn more about Rodman as he shares with us his entrepreneurial journey and the role that faith has played in that. See y'all soon. Welcome back, y'all. Thanks for joining again as we continue on this conversation with Rodman as he shares his insight as an entrepreneur and the role faith has played in it. So, Rodman, you told us that you're an entrepreneur. Can you share a little bit about what is it that you do exactly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now, I just jumped into the stock market game. So I'm new in that, trying to get my feet wet in that. I've been doing Airbnb, so I'm a six-figure Airbnb host. That's really was my main focus the last 2 years. So really just expanding in that market. But right now I'm starting to learn about like wholesale and just other avenues. So
Okay. Yeah. Which are all risky things, right? As an entrepreneur, taking risk is key in elevation. And in order to take risks, I'm sure you have to have a strong foundation in God and understanding that He is with you every step of the way. And so, as you reflect on your journey, have you had any God moments where you saw divine intervention in your business or personal life?
Divine intervention. I feel like my whole life, since a baby, being born in prison, having only they only gave my aunt 2.5 hours to come get me on a 3 hour drive. He said if she didn't come get me, they'd put me in the system. So just coming out, jumping into this world, it was kind of like divine intervention, just things aligning in my favor. That, God put me on a certain path to do whatever.
And as we know, as the Bible says, that God knows us before we even formed in our mother's womb. So even knowing that He knew that that was going to be your situation and your circumstance, but He had created a plan despite all of that. How do you feel knowing that 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 was your plan? In the sense of like that's your journey where you're coming from, but where you are now, like how does it feel to exist in this space knowing like, wow, God knew this where I was going to be, but He has orchestrated my life in certain ways?
Yeah, it's like, man, like God really loves me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look back, it's like the things that I've been through, the things that I've avoided, like it had to be God. And knowing that, it's like, man, like the amount of love that like I feel even just thinking about that is like it warms me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's unexplainable, and it kind of makes me wonder because I'd be like, man, what am I here for? You know what I'm saying? Like I still don't feel like I'm in that. Still, I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is a life journey, but yeah, it makes me wonder, like, look, it's my assignment down here,
And I think that is so profound in trying to understand, creating space to understand where you are, what your assignment is. And I'm sure it can also be scary because we don't know if we are doing what God wants us to do. And if we are doing it, are we doing it how He wants us to do it? Like, everything that we do, we should glorify His name in every decision. And so as you think about your entrepreneur journey and what do you do and what decisions how do you get in the mindset to be able to make decisions knowing that you want to glorify God?
Good question. It's definitely it's a struggle because you go your whole life doing it your way, living for yourself, and then God reveals Himself to you, and you have this profound love, and you want to do everything, but you still have your flesh, you still have your past. That's like it's all about you, it's all about me. You know what I'm saying? So having the intentionality to just be like, okay, like everything I do, I have to glorify you because it's the only way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the only thing that's gonna bring true fulfillment. But yeah, it's an ongoing battle that is definitely a process.
Process, absolutely. And speaking of a process, I'm sure that you may be in a space right now where you are satisfied with your life in a way, and you are better than where you used to be, right? There's so much about where we everyone wants the glory, but no one knows really the story. And so if we dive a little bit more deeper into Rodman and how did you get to place where you are strong in your foundation with God? Because I'm sure this hasn't always been your journey since day one. Like, what was life like prior to that transformation and you deciding to give your life to God?
My life was wild. Let me tell you. I feel like I have the typical like college athlete rapper life, like with the girls and the parties and stuff like that. Really just living for myself. Like when God got me, when God revealed Himself to me, I was for sure a mess. But yeah, it's crazy because looking back, I thought I had everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I asked God like, why did you reveal yourself to me when you did? You know, like I mean, I had money, I had girls, I had this, I had that, and He said I came and got you at your lowest. Feel me? And it's like, dang, like for Him to say that to me, and for me to really like come to the knowledge, like I was hurt, I was lost. You feel me? Like I wasn't happy. You feel me? Like those things I was acquiring were fillers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Filling a void that couldn't be filled. So, yeah, life prior, it was a movie.
Yeah.
Scared me.
And I'm sure in the moment you didn't feel like you were lost and you were confused. And believe it or not, a lot of our young men are probably in that same position that you were in. Yeah. And so what are some questions that you would offer to them to ask, that they could ask themselves to reflect to see, am I lost? Am I confused? Am I doing things for as a filler? Am I unhappy? Because we have to think about what we're thinking about. We have to really create a space to reflect on, what is my life like right now? Where am I going? What's really going on? Because life could be so fast paced and we try to take it one day at a time. But, doing that, we look back like, wow, I've been doing the same thing for 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years turned to 10 years and then 20 years. So what are some questions that you would encourage people to reflect on so they can identify like, okay, I need to take a different direction?
Yeah. First of all, where am I going? Because it's one thing to say I'm gonna take a different direction, but if you don't have a destination to that direction, then you're gonna be lost. So really be intentional about like clarifying what your vision is, why you're going and where you're going. And I say that because like no matter how shaky my days get or down my days get, my vision is what ultimately gets me through. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like my vision won't allow me to stay down too long. So I feel like without your vision being able to really discipline your life, then you're gonna be like, the sea. Yeah. With tossed to and fro.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love that you said focus on your vision. However, I do want to add to that because I feel like in order to have a vision, you need a purpose. And to be able to really let that guide where your vision is going to be. I feel as though us as humans, if we have a purpose in life, we will do certain things and certain behaviors that won't disrupt that purpose or take us off our vision once we do identify that. But the foundation should be, this is my purpose, because your purpose is aligned with your assignment that God has given you on earth. But it does take a lot of intentionality and willpower to really think about what is my purpose on earth. And don't get me wrong, our purpose could be many different things, but the principles are aligned in one. They just may have different branches. Yeah. And so how did you come to find what your purpose was?
I stopped looking for it. I feel like a lot of people tire themselves out trying to find their purpose. And God tells us clearly, to love others. Is to serve and glorify Him. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we don't have one purpose. I feel like, He gave us our purpose, but we have many different assignments. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So once you just keep it simple like that, it saves you time, it saves you energy trying to, well, maybe my purpose is to teach, or maybe it's to do this, or maybe it's to, like, no, your purpose is to, love people and serve God. And in doing that and in seeking the kingdom, then everything will arrive before you. Yeah. Yeah, I stopped looking. I got tired.
I think that's a great point that sometimes we can get overworked by trying to figure out, like, what is my purpose? I think it's also a good thing to look at your functional gifts because that can be aligned with your purpose. And again, you can have multiple functional gifts as well. Yeah. But I feel like You have to create space for that, though, because if you don't want to exist in your purpose, it's not going to naturally gravitate towards you. It's not going to reveal itself. Opportunities aren't going to reveal itself because you're focused on the wrong things. Because you're living in your purpose is very difficult, but it's also such a beautiful journey. Yeah. And you can get distracted very easily being in the world instead of being of the world. And so what would you recommend, or what is some advice that you would give to someone where they really want to build a stronger relationship with God, but they're scared of leaving their old self?
You just got to make a decision. I feel like people can give you a lot of advice of what they did, or you know what I'm saying, what they read. But I feel like ultimately it comes down to a decision you have to make, and it's, I'm either gonna die in the world or I'm gonna die in righteousness. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel like when you get tired of yourself, like tired of living how you living, then it'll be a lot easier. But why wait until you get tired? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why not look down the road and see where these decisions can take me and just stop now? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think it's important that we have to ask ourselves, are we satisfied with our life? But that's also a difficult question because satisfaction looks different by people. And again, when we find our purpose and we ask ourselves, am I satisfied with my life? But also, am I worth being satisfied with my life? Like, do I deserve to be satisfied with my life? And when you really know what your purpose is, the question will automatically be yes. But if you don't know your purpose, then you're just going off on a rim and you're just doing what you feel like you want to do in the moment because you're existing based off of temporary emotions versus a foundation of where you should be going in a strong path. And let me ask you this. How did you know, what motivated you to, like you said you wanted to make a decision. You have to make a decision. So what motivated you to make the decision of this is what I want to do?
My vision. It's crazy because God asked me like who I wanted to be, and I didn't know how to answer him. Like when I first had my encounter with God, I didn't know how to answer him, but I knew what I didn't want to be. You know what I'm saying? So that alone, like I'm scared to fail. Like I'm scared to be in a position to where I'm at the mercy of the government, or I'm at the mercy of this person or my mom and dad, or you know what I'm saying? So that alone gets me up and be like, okay, I gotta lock in. You feel me? Because ultimately I'm trying to leave for my kids.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. Did the fear of God play a role in that? You're saying the fear of the world, but did the fear of God motivate you? Like, if it's not within your will, if it's not what you want me to do, I fear what the consequences could be coming out of that, where I'm not aligned.
Yeah, for sure. Just the thought of getting to that day and he says, depart from me, I don't know you. Like, that's like game over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't no coming back from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
As we wrap things up, and it's very important that I want to give our audience some tips on how they can continue to stay lit and embrace their authentic selves. So as an entrepreneur, what is one thing that you want to share with them and how they can stay authentically themselves and embrace their journey as an entrepreneur?
I would say just stay locked into what your niche is. Like get a clear vision. Don't let anybody deter you. Try to distract you and pull you off your path. Definitely get the right mentors. Avoid some of those pitfalls and mistakes that you can, avoid if possible. But and just show yourself grace. It's a journey. It's not, so.
Thank you so much for that advice. We'll see y'all next time, and this has been Stay Lit. As we wrap up this episode of Stay Lit with Lauren Lyfestyle, I want to thank you for joining in on the space where faith, purpose, and transformation take center stage. A special thank you to our guest, Rodman Allen, for sharing his powerful testimony, wisdom, and entrepreneurial journey with us. His story is a reminder that faith, resilience, and vision, we can overcome obstacles and step into the life God has designed for us. If today's conversation resonated with you, take the lessons, apply them to your journey, and remember, your faith is the foundation of your success. Keep trusting, keep building, and keep walking in purpose. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care, stay true to yourself, and let your light shine. I'm Lauren Lyfestyle.
I'm Rodman Allen.
And this has been Stay Lit.